Woo, you. Have I got a story for you? I have some things to say. Hey now, boys and girls. I have such a story for you. It's show 208. Welcome back to another episode of the Pucknologists, the only completely live, unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, commercial-free Sharks podcast that wraps up your world in the week of Sharks hockey, part of Teal Town, USA. Remember, if this is your first time checking out our cast, hit that like and subscribe on the platform of your choice. Leave your takes in the comment section if you're not with us live. And remember, during every episode of the Pucknologists this season, that's right, every Sunday, giving away a little prize pack. Oh, baby, this is so cool. This is so cool. But the social's where we got it rocking, baby. You can find us on all those platforms, so hit us up. Dude, okay. What was I saying to you a minute ago? Because I'm on like 3 different platforms. What did I have you on?
You were saying a lot of things.
Yeah, but there was one that popped into my head, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to tell him about this. Shit. Oh my gosh. Either way, we're killing it right now, and it's been so much goddamn fun. I want to know, how did you do during last weekend NFC, AFC, wild card? No, not even wild card. It's just championship weekend. How'd you do? And how did that Vince Dunn hammer help you out that I threw your way?
Well, the
dude, I felt like there was a little bit where you're like, oh, fucking AJ, just shut up.
No, that was that was not not something that I had been looking at.
But kind of like threw it in your peripheral.
Yeah, you tossed it my way, and I gave it some, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, just thinking about the circumstances, right, where the Sharks are, where the Kraken are. What the
and the amount of shots that the Sharks give up on a regular basis,
right? What the circumstances were going to dictate, right? And I thought, like applying a logical spin, I'm like, this is not a bad pull.
No,
so
decent hammer. Yeah,
so I went with it, and you know what? I don't know how in depth you were tracking it, but he had 2 shots on goal in the first period, and so I'm thinking,
dude, I was rubbing my hands together, and then the second period went by, and I went, where the fuck is the third one?
Yeah, the third one came very late, from what I can tell.
Yeah. No, you are not wrong, sir. So
that was a good pull. You had the script that night.
We're going to get into some more pulls later. So the Sharks, they've win 4 of their last 6. Mm-hmm. What? Picked up points in 6 of those games. Like, suddenly Vlasic's cock is like getting to the dressing room 5 minutes before he is. Like, dude, guy is just fucking whipping it out like he threw down 4 in a game. And, it feels like everybody in the Sharks dressing room was like, Celebrini who? Whew. I mean, only the Predators have played as many games as the Sharks. As of now, the Sharks are 3 points up on the Blackhawks. Should be noted, the Sharks still have 2 games against the Blackhawks on the schedule. So I'm just saying, maybe you forget how to play hockey during both of those games. Couldn't hurt you. So at the beginning of the week, dude, Sharks in Seattle. Now, you have to remember the last time the Sharks played Seattle, following that game, Quinn dropped the hammer, called the Sharks embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see the Sharks respond with a 2-0 shutout. And where did these goals come from? I'm sorry, Vlasic? Really? mean, granted, empty netter, but still, you're like, fuck out of here. Dude,
I mean,
and
trusted to be on the ice late in the game, right?
Yes. And then you also, take into account that the fact that Tomas Hertl, or I guess if you're the people that do the graphics for the All-Star game, Thomas Hertl, but Tomas out for this game. Eklund moved to the center position, gets his first ever assist at center. Whew. And then Blackwood with the first shutout that he's had in 61 starts. But I got to be honest with you, this might have been one of the most boring shutouts I've ever witnessed in my life. Dude, I mean, what do the Sharks have? Like 3 shots on goal in the first period?
Yeah, 3 in the first, and at least in the first period, the Sharks were what they were, but at least the Kraken had 13 shots of their own, so there's kind of something to look at and say, well, at least somebody came to play, right? But then you look at that second period, it was 5 shots apiece.
Fucking A. But Norris for Vlasic. Is that pronounced correctly? Dude, huge snooze fest. But anyway, so the Sharks, go through that, and all of a sudden you're like going, why is this team that I want to get the number 1 pick all of a sudden winning games? Stop that, you. And they came close, ended up with an overtime loss in Anaheim the following day. So the fact that they hosted Seattle and then had to take a little traipse down to SoCal. Duclair gets a power play goal, and you're like, wait a minute, when did the Sharks figure out how to power play? But then Vlasic all of a sudden scores again with a fucking snipe. Dude, I felt like literally when that goal happened, I was like, I might have to text Jerk right now and be like, I think Vlasic got tired of being my 0 every week.
Yeah, no kid. I mean, especially because you look at the way, you see all the time, a defenseman will get the puck at the blue line and kind of just float it on the net.
No, that shit was angry, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That shit was fuck AJ.
Maybe it hits something. Maybe the goalie doesn't see it. It's kind of a goofy shot, right? But like you said, Vlasic, he got it, and no hesitation, just stepped right into it, and boom, it went in.
Oh, dude. But I got to say, when Vetrano won in overtime, I was very much kind of like, I wish I had Hockey Jerk's betting app, because literally that would have been the guy that I would have bet on in OT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
dude,
especially
fucking Vetrano, bro.
I mean, and with the trade deadline kind of right around the corner, I think Vetrano is somebody that the Ducks look at as okay, we signed this guy, and he's going to be one of the guys that we have help bring the kids along, so to speak. But the way he's been playing this year, such to.
Dude, this is the thing, and tell me I'm wrong. This is the deal with the Ducks. As much, and this, I have been a big Kings fan for the last couple of years. And I don't want to say fan, but shall I say guy who has said, if you're going to bet on a team in the Pacific Division to finish in the top 3, the Kings, to me, solid fucking bet. Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
Okay. Dude, the Ducks are very quickly moving into that realm, and you look at the Vetrano, and then, but explain to me, what is the issue with Zegras? Why do we keep hearing noise that the Ducks want to burn shit down when they're right at the precipice of, at least for me, nailing that foundation into place? Because I'm not understanding that.
Well, I think part of it, and again, it's all speculative, right? But his offense is not there this year.
Oh, he can't do the Michigan every goal? Is that what the problem is?
Well, I think the offense isn't there this year, which you can attribute to injury for one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and again, it's all speculation, but there's speculation that maybe the vision that the Ducks general manager has for the team. Maybe Zegras can't fit into that vision according to the general manager. I mean, it's you know,
Really?
I mean, and it's kind of, I mean, who's to say for sure, right? But I think it depends on the rationale. I mean, if they're going to trade Zegras and maybe they have a really solid breakdown for why, say for example, it's, well, we've got all these guys, we just drafted Carlson, we have McTavish, we have Terry, we have this guy, that guy, you know, Zegras just doesn't fit in, and maybe we want to try and get a different asset for him in return. Okay, you can kind of sell me on that. But if it's a situation, it's like, well, we don't think Zegras can fit this particular mold. It's like, well, according to who? Like, you've not even really let the situation play out all that much,
Right? And who was the cat? Bobby something Ryan? The cat, what was that kid's name?
Bobby Ryan.
Literally, was it? Did I actually get a name right? Because I usually don't. Who was the cat that the Ducks took, I don't know, 15 years ago, and everybody was just like, wow, what a sneaky fucking take, and blah, blah, blah. And then he ended up in Montreal, and like he had problems. Literally, was it Bobby Ryan? Was that the guy's name?
Bobby Ryan was on Anaheim, and they did end up trading him to Ottawa, and he, kind of had some difficulties that he went through while he was there. But I mean, he was taken number 2 after Sidney Crosby. So.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I had so much hope for that guy, and I don't know. I'm not saying Zegras is, fait accompli, but God damn, is he a lot of fun to watch play hockey? So to see that type of shit happen, I kind of go, whatevs. It was 2 games. Sharks, hey, when was the last time you could sit there and say the Sharks took more points off the board than there were available, right? Dude, I mean, a win, an overtime loss, maybe 3 or 4. Hello. You got to love that. And then the fact after this, okay, so they take 3 or 4. Now, granted, we are part of the group. I think everybody knows. There's a small contingent of people that goes Celebrini over everything. So you look at that win, you go, stop that. But, of course, Couture is back, so the Sharks are going to win just about every game, right? Until somebody else gets injured, because evidently anytime a big player for the Sharks comes back, somebody else is a big player gets injured. Anyway, Quinn, dude, David Quinn having hip replacement surgery during this break. If you looked at the social media, I believe that procedure happened earlier today. Dude, it's saying, he'll be back on the bench following the break. So, which is February 14th, Valentine's Day. We're talking 12 days from now. I'm just going to say right now, a woman that jerk, her name is my wife, or AKA Sherry. Dude, she needs hip surgery, and they've literally told her, like, it's going to take a decent amount of time. Do you really think Quinn's going to be back on this bench in 2 weeks? And it's not that it means anything. It's not as if the season is on the line, but I just think that is like, wow, that is an amazing amount of optimism.
It is a bit, it is a bit interesting to kind of conceptualize, just based on the point you're making of how long that recovery takes and how invasive a hip replacement is. I mean, if you've got a strong stomach, go ahead and Google image what that looks like.
But you got to get on in there, bro.
Right. And so I'm wondering, is it kind of a situation where, is it more ceremonial, where like maybe he's just there but is not up and moving around as much as he otherwise would be? I don't know. I mean, I can't say. I mean, I guess we'll find out, right?
Dude, I expect Chief to be there with like a cane or 2. Like that, I mean, that is not like, I don't want to have kids anymore. If you could just snip, I'd be fit. No, it's not anything close to that, dude.
And the thing is, like, if the Sharks had come out and they had said, "Hey, you know what? David Quinn needs hip surgery. It's kind of serious. He's not going to be on the bench for the rest of the year." I think everybody would be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
Oh, dude, and the whole thing is like, would anybody lose their shit over we're gonna hand the reins to Wasowski? And let's be honest, I think me, you, most Teal Town people we'd be like, well, wasn't that where the reins were going to go eventually? You know what I mean?
Here's the other thing though. Even if the Sharks were number one in the entire NHL and this came out, I still don't think it would matter, right?
You're right.
Because the system's in place, the players are in place, so it's kind of just all right. We're gonna just keep doing our thing, and we'll see what happens. I mean, earlier this year, Rick Bowness took time away from the Jets because his wife was going through a medical situation, and the Jets are doing just fine.
Hey now, shit happens, man. I feel like the Jets are doing more than fine.
Yeah, I've heard they're doing okay.
Yeah, could be. Oh man, Okay, so the Athletic, and I love that they do this. They do this annually. They got a player poll. They have a coaches poll. They have all these different polls that they do where they like talk to different people. Again, whether it's players, coaches, equipment guys, or what. Everything is, of course, anonymous. Or if you're Donald Trump, you pronounce it anonymous. But the Athletic had a player poll, and one of the things that came through, you look through it, and again, it's one of those things, it's secular, it's going to come around, because right now, Sharks, not the best team in the NHL, by most numbers, the worst team in the NHL. But again, that was after an incredibly long stretch where they were one of the best teams. But part of the poll was least favorite road city. Now, let's be honest. The Sharks have zero influence on that. It's not as if the hockey team said, you know what, let's make downtown a really boring place to be. It's not as if the Canadiens or the Rangers or whoever said, okay, we're going to make this area around where we played the most exciting place ever to be, blah, 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 blah. So I get it where, they sit there and go, you know what? Winnipeg sucks. Okay, well, why is that? Well, their Wi-Fi is shitty. There's nowhere for them to for the players to hang. And so there's no titty. So no strip clubs, there's no bars, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. San Jose, kind of similar. But the fact that one of the quotes used in it was, it's a really sad fan base in San Jose. And as soon as I heard that, I was just kind of like, well, how do they mean it? Do they mean sad as in we're so used to seeing way more people here and being way more louder, because San Jose at one point was considered the loudest arena in the league. But then I was like, or sad as in we skate around during warmups and goddamn, all the fans, they look so bummed out. So, dude, you hear that? Sad fan base. Again, it's going to be one of those things that it's going to turn around. Everything's cyclical, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that how many situations I always point to Chicago, right? There's a lot of conversation about
Jesus. That is the perfect example.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of obviously a lot's been said about their success in the 2010s and I mean,
how long did it take to get to the 2010s?
Right, but yeah, exactly. But you look at the maybe 4 or 5 years before that first cup, and it was same thing. Can't sell out the building. People don't appear interested in the team and what's going on, and they, there is a phrase, the phrase that's been said so many times. Winning cures everything, and that's there is a lot of truth to that, where when the Sharks inevitably right the ship, guess what? More tickets will be utilized and more people will be in the building and all that kind of stuff. So it is unfortunate that that's where things are, but it's not to say that people have stopped being fans. It's more a situation of, I don't want to spend my money watching the team lose and lose in the way they have, because I think,
Yep.
and we've talked about it, the Sharks have had some pretty notable losses the 2 or 3 years prior to this year, but at least there was something to be excited about. And you can say, hey man, yeah, they got pumped, but that one moment was really cool. And there have not been many of those this year.
Well, and the other thing though about, I mean, Chicago maybe not the best example, only because they had in their back pocket when the Blackhawks were not at their best, they literally had, a guy a couple blocks away who was, I don't know, arguably the best player ever to play basketball in their back pocket for an entire decade. So, I think during the 90s, there was a lot of times where Chicago, people who lived in Chicago were like, I'm sorry, hockey, what?
Right.
They didn't give a shit. So either way, it's just, I just think about it and I go, fuck, man, 10, 12, 15 years ago, it was a lot of players in the NHL like, oh, I fucking hate playing in San Jose. It's so loud. The players are right on top of you. Or I'm sorry, not the players. The fans are right on top of you. They're screaming and oh my God, and they're super duper into it. And then you look at where we're at now, and you have players literally calling like, "Oh, I feel bad for San Jose," and I'm like, "Really? Try paying for tickets and then feel bad."
Right.
And then I saw something that came out earlier this week. It said in the last 25 seasons, only 3 teams have faced more shots through their first 50 games than this year's Sharks. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just trying to hold people account to the things they say. Mike Greer, year and a half ago talked about, we need to be tenacious. We need to be really hard to play against and blah, blah, blah. Does, being a team that allows the most shots in 50 years, does that sound like, a hard team to play against? It doesn't to me.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, what needs to happen with this team? What needs to change? And we've talked about certain players, dude. Barabanov. This is not a guy who's going to go out there and block shots, but he's going to be a tough guy generally when you're against it on the boards. And I got to say, you and I, we have never disparaged Barabanov's name in this house. But I got to say, the last month or so, there have been opportunities that you could potentially disparage that name.
Right. Yeah, it's really unfortunate the way things have gone for him this year. I think kind of like what we talked about before, where being injured can kind of screw with you a little bit, but even since he's been back, it's been difficult for him to find consistency, right?
Yes.
And last season he had 47 points, which really good season for him.
Absolutely.
But if what he's doing now, if he were to play the same amount of games this year as he did last year, he would only have 20 points. And so he's almost, he's actually more than half of what he did a year ago. And it's really kind of unfortunate that of all the years where it might have been prudent, or maybe not prudent, all the years where it might have been believable that he could be traded, this is the year where it's most likely to happen, is this statistical year,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been something. And so, but it's just to see that and just to go, oh my God, because it's I've been around for the entire time, saw this team play at the Cow Palace. So to hear it where it's like San Jose, it's like, oh yeah, we feel bad for them. It's a sad fan base, and I'm like, you feel bad for us, you motherfucker. You know? So coming out of the All-Star break, as obviously we're doing, we'll get into the All-Star game here in a minute, whether it's the AHL side or the NHL side, but we're coming out of it. Obviously, the focus for the Sharks, other teams in this position, are going to be the trade deadline. We saw a couple trades made right before everything happened. How are you feeling? Do you I mean, dude, there's at this point there's what? There's Duclair, maybe LeBanc, maybe Hoffman, maybe Kakkonen. There are some
maybe Ferraro.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. You really think he's on the table, honestly? Because I don't. I think the marketing department goes, he has his own YouTube channel. He's too much fun.
He has his own YouTube channel that he
hasn't paid attention to in 2 years.
Right, which is you know, it's a product of his occupation. Nobody cares, right? But with where the defense is going, it kind of feels like more so than any other area of this team, the defense is the area that's kind of getting the largest alteration, we'll say. And
rightfully so.
Sure. And I think with who's coming up, who's potentially out there in terms of drafting, trade, free agency, all those kinds of things, I'm not saying it's likely, but it's definitely believable that, you know, a team might go to San Jose and say, hey, you know, you guys have this Ferraro guy who is pretty good. He's only 25 years old. You know, would you be open to trading him? It kind of seems like you're doing a whole rebuild of that blue line thing. You know, we'll pay up for him kind of deals. And you know, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's even probable, but I definitely think it is believable if the Sharks wanted to get a completely brand new look on the blue line.
And I'm fine with that, but I just, in my mind, I'm sitting there going, what team is coming along and saying that, yes, we want to pay, or we want this 3-4 guy that you are paying, and no, I'm not going to say that. I don't think he's getting paid 1-2 salary.
Not even close.
Yeah.
He's literally getting paid 3-4 salary.
Yeah. So it's like, we want this guy that you are putting in a 1-2 position. We want him because we're going to pay him that 3-4 salary that you're giving him, and we want him in a 3-4 spot. Jeez, I don't know.
Oh, I do. I could tell you 10 teams right now that would be interested in him.
And Mario?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, jeez.
Because again, a lot of it is situational, right? And you see all the times where give me like the top 5 teams that give up the most shots, and they're going to be like, yeah, give us the guy who blocks everything. Right, and I think, you know, any team that has kind of a high octane defenseman, I think would at the very least take a look, just because of his experience playing with Brent Burns, right? And you know, a lot of it is situational too. How many times do you see a player, you know, depending on where they're at, they might play above their skill level, or they might play below their skill level, and a lot of it's situational. And I think, you know, there's been a lot of negativity from Mario Ferraro just in terms of his level of play, but at the same time, there is a quality thought process there. And I think in a different situation where you're not getting completely shelled on a night-to-night basis like you're talking about, I do think there is a situation where he could thrive. I think Toronto makes a lot of sense. I think Tampa Bay makes a lot of sense. I think the Hurricanes makes a lot of sense. I think the Islanders make a lot of sense.
Dude, I got to say, dude.
Colorado makes a lot of sense.
I'm feeling Tampa Bay. I'm feeling Tampa.
And especially because the thing with Tampa, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, how Tampa Bay is always kind of the sleeping giant. they have very few guys who, are kind of in a sweet spot. The guys they have, if they're locked up long term, they make up a lot of money. And if they're signed to a cheap deal, they're not around for very long. And Mario Ferraro would kind of be the middle point of that, right? Where, say you hypothetically trade for him now, you get him this year and the following 2 years, just over $3 million. That's very workable for even the most strapped salary cap teams. And, again, not saying it's likely, not even saying it's probable, but absolutely believable, and would not shock me if it ended up happening.
Absolutely. And maybe that's also a case of the Sharks need to, I don't know, it's how many times have we seen the Sharks draft somebody, whoever's, and maybe fallen too in love with them way too early and try to make that person the face of the franchise before they've actually done anything?
Mm-hmm. Not recently, though, because as we've mentioned, the Sharks don't really market their players all that well.
That's true.
But I get your point.
Yeah. So I don't know. And that's the whole thing. Mario is so fucking marketable.
Yeah, hell of a guy.
Yeah. Dude, he's like all up in this bitch. And the fact that YouTube guy, and he's like, I could just picture the NHL, like the league, looking at his YouTube channel going, good Lord, you're making this too easy for us. Mm-hmm. Like, we're just gonna clip stuff from your channel and turn it into a commercial.
Especially because, you're seeing a lot of pro sports leagues being smart and trying to market their sport to younger people. What better way to do that than using a guy who's 25 years old and has a somewhat decent social media presence?
Absolutely. And is like super down to earth dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's one of those guys where he's like, gold up all in my watch, gold up all in my rings, and all that shit, where he's just like, hey, I'm eating the same trick cereal that y'all are eating, and this is how I like fucking rock and roll. Appreciate that. So, coming out of this All-Star break, I mean, the focus is, when you consider where the Sharks are at, it's got to be on the trade deadline, which at this point is, what do we say, March 8th? Is that what it is?
Correct. It's 4 weeks from this Friday.
Jesus. Okay, so basically 5 weeks, let's be honest. Sure. But, dude, 4 weeks from this Friday. Are you a little surprised at all that the Sharks haven't made really any move so far?
No.
You think they're biding their time? You think Big Money Mike is just kind of like, no. I'm going to wait till, like, bitches want to get up all in my grill before I fucking show them what it looks like?
Well, here's the thing, is this season, the playoff picture, I guess you could say, is the widest open it's been in a long time. Like, obviously Boston Bruins are locks, Vancouver Canucks are locks, but outside of that, you've got a lot of people kind of all clustered between 2 and 8, right? And or I'd forget that, 2 and 12. Let's be real.
Yeah, and you're right.
And so with how wide open the field is, I think a lot of teams are kind of waiting to see, okay, we're 5 weeks out. Let's see at 3 weeks out, where can we make it? At least not
Calgary, but anybody else.
Can we make it? If we add whether we can we make it? And if so, should we add a piece? Or even if we can't make it, should we add a piece that we can re-sign and try and make it next year? I think with how wide open the field is, a lot of teams are basically waiting to see, okay, are we legitimately in this thing, or are we going to fall out?
It's been so weird, dude. Let's, between you and, us girls, let's roll it back here for a second. Beginning of the season, I just remember I can't remember where you were at. I remember where I was at, which was I felt like Edmonton and Vegas, though they were Edmonton was going to beat Vegas for the top spot in the Pacific Division, but LA was going to be like, oh, hey, who's your daddy? We're going to get up in there. And that was, like, I felt like and I just remember thinking Vancouver, I'm like, yeah, I have you like fifth. I'm like, maybe Vancouver makes a little bit of noise, but I felt like they were a year away from doing anything remarkable. I thought Calgary might have a little bit more to hang on the board. And then you look at where we're at now and you're just like, holy shit, we're halfway into this. And it's a case of where Vancouver is pressing for the President's Trophy. Just like, they're just like, oh, you're in our way. Fuck off. Get out. Now, Vegas, they have had some injury problems, but woof. And then LA, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I'm going to say it right now. T-Mac, Tom McClellan, for me, scapegoated.
Yeah, I agree.
They needed to find a target to blame, and I'm going to be the person who says, wrong target, wasn't his fault.
Well, and we, a lot of people have been discussing, it kind of all goes back to, rightly or wrongly, the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And again, like we pretty decisively said early on, like this is a win for Winnipeg. Like even if it wasn't a spoiled asset for Winnipeg, it would be a win. But the fact that it was a spoiled asset and they still got what they did, it's a huge win. But
Yep.
on the other side of things, and we discussed this at the time, if you're the LA Kings, who has one of the best groups of forwards in the Pacific Division and one of the worst groups of defensemen in the Pacific Division, and you add to the forward group, like, sure, your forwards are really good. Nobody's disputing that. I think even with everything that's transpired up to this point, I still think LA's group of forwards is very, very good. But that defense has been
super sus.
It's been a bit problematic since, however, 2021 or whenever their kind of resurgence began, right? And they brought in Gavrikov and they re-signed him, which is a good ad, but it's not enough, right? And then the goaltending has been a disaster. It just in the last year, they've had 5 different goalies start a game for them with the potential, and it's not like an injury roster maneuvering situation. It's a, well, this is our guy situation, right? Right now it's Cam Talbot and it's Phoenix Copley. It was Jonas Corposalo. It was Jonathan Quick. It was Cal Peterson. Like, all within the last 12 months.
And somehow that's all T-Mac's fault.
Right, and that's the thing, and we've been extremely complimentary of Rob Blake's career as the GM of the LA Kings.
Absolutely.
And I think deservedly so. He's been very, very good as their general manager. This Dubois trade was the first blunder, and so now he's going to be confronted with a situation of what's my next move? Where do I go from here? Is it going to be another blunder in trying to correct the first blunder, or is he going to make it right, or is he going to do nothing?
Dude, tell me I'm wrong. It feels like Rob Blake and Doug Wilson are kind of like the inverse of each other, where it's like Doug Wilson, when it comes to the mammoth trades, he is a winner, but those little ones, it's like maybe not so much. Whereas Blake, he wins all the kind of like under the radar ones, but the mammoth ones, it's like, oh, you got your shit pushed in.
I would need to see what other mammoth trades he's made.
That's the problem is that with Blake, it's a smaller history, so I get what you're saying.
True. I mean the Kevin Fiala trade, good trade. The Victor Arvidsson trade was a good trade. The Alec Martinez Trade that was trading away Alec Martinez, but that was good. So like I said, like you and Rob Blake has been the GM since 2017. You'd be hard pressed to find a trade that Rob Blake has done, with the exception of the Pierre-Luc Dubois one. You'd be hard pressed to find a trade that was objectively bad for the LA Kings. I feel like it's either good for them or it's just kind of like a shoulder shrug. Well, whatever.
Well, and the thing that will always make me giggle until the end of the world is, oh my God, who is the, not Rob Blake. What was the guy? I can see his face. I just remember, I think it was when the Kings won their first cup. I'm trying to remember who the guy, he was an LA Kings player at one point, but I just remember him, it's like, oh, the LA, fans, they're the best fans in hockey. And I'm like, oh my God, these fans that are screaming for you right now, they didn't know what hockey was 2 years ago. Stop it. Just stop it. Ugh. But we're coming up on this trade deadline. I want to go back to this for a hot second. Maybe it's just me. And it's just not tweet of the week, is it? No, it's the Timo trade. So, dude, New Jersey gets Timo Meier. Now, granted, he's had injury issues. He's only played 34 of 47 games. But, dude, he's a -23.
On an alleged playoff team.
Right? Barely above a half a point per game. And you just sit there and go, this was the moneymaker out of this entire trade. This was, it's the whole thing is they say, many people are saying, whoever gets the best player wins the trade. I think right now you could make the argument that Fabian Zetterlund was the best player out of this trade. So going down the Devils list, they got Timo Meier. Besides him, Ibrahimov, who has been bouncing between Adirondack and Utica. They get Scott Harrington, who's now playing in the Swiss League. You get a player named Hataka. Played 3 games with the Devils this season. He's been with the Comets the rest. And then, of course, a 2024 fifth rounder. Meanwhile, San Jose, this is big money Mike moves, dude. Fabian Zetterlund, literally the only Shark to play in every game the Sharks have played this season. He's second in goals, fourth in points, a .42 points per game. Now, yeah, Timo, he has .53, but, I mean, we're talking kind of splitting hairs a little bit when Fabian's playing on a team that was expected to finish 32nd, and Timo's finishing on a team who was expected to be, second in the Eastern Conference. And then the Sharks also got Andreas Johnson, ends up being a free agent, signed with the Pens, now is in Sweden. But they also got Muka Madulin. Over 3 games played, +1, not too bad. When it comes to the AHL All-Star game, you talk about flying in at the last possible minute because of bad weather. But from what I understand, I got a text about 20 minutes ago that said Muka Madulin did, in fact, actually make it into TXCU Arena. But then you also have Nikita Hochuk. Dude, 37 games played, 7 points. Yeah, okay, -18. Like I said, Timo Meier, -23. But the big thing is, the Sharks got Quentin Musty with the 2023 first-round pick. They have a second-rounder this coming season and a 7th-rounder. So, Jerkman, they say whoever gets the best player wins the trade. Do you think, going through that whole list, do you think that phrase or saying needs to be perhaps recalibrated?
Are you talking in a bubble or are you talking currently?
How else do you see? That's the whole thing. How else do you judge a trade? Do you have to judge a trade in the 24-hour window that it occurs? Do you have to wait 2 years? Do you have to wait 4 years? Because that's the whole thing is that in that trade window, there's a 2024 7th and a 2024 2nd that goes to San Jose. There's also a 2024 5th that goes to New Jersey. So do we have to wait until, I don't know, 2030 to see how those picks turn out? I'm just kind of like, I'm asking you the question now. What is more important? Timo to the Devils and Abragamov, Harrington, Hataka? Or do you think what means more to their team on the other side, which is Zetterlund, Mukhamadullin, and Ahochuk?
Well, if you're talking more important to the team right now, it's obviously what the Sharks got, because even as well as he was playing at the time, Timo Meier wasn't going to be the superstar in New Jersey. He's a complimentary piece, despite the fact that
Is he?
Yeah, I mean,
show me when he's been a complimentary piece in New Jersey.
Well, by complimentary piece, I mean like just a guy who's helping the wheel turn, not the guy who's leading the charge. That's what I mean. And
well, the guy on his name is on the cocktail napkin.
Right. And so I think with that in mind, yes, obviously it looks better for the Sharks than it does for the Devils right now. But as you pointed out, there are still factors in this trade, 3 of them in the form of 2024 draft picks, that we don't even know what's going to happen yet. So at the very least, you've got to wait till all the factors of the trade play out. And then from there, you got to look at, okay, who was drafted? Did they end up reaching their ceiling? And then you got to look at contracts were signed. Okay, over the life of this contract, in Timo Meier's case, it's an 8-year contract. What did he bring to the Devils? Did he score 100 points a year? Did he help win the Devils a Stanley Cup? Right.
Yep.
And so it's just, if you're putting the parameters of it on right here, right now, who's happier? I think you would say the Sharks. But to definitively say who was this trade better for long-term over the life of everything, you got to wait a while.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to wait a while. But it's like, if you just, it was 4 for 4, right? It was Timo Meier, Timur, and I'm sure that I'm messing up the name, but Timur Ibrahimov, Scott Harrington, Santeri Hataka, or Hataka, depending on what country you live in. And then Zetterlund, Andres Johnson, Mukhamadullin, Ahochuk. Right there, it's basically 1 NHL player versus 3 NHL players. And we haven't even brought the picks in. So I feel like right now, you have to look at that and go, the Sharks won that. And Big Money Mike might have won it super big.
Certainly seems that way right now.
Yeah, like 4 players versus 4 players. And San Jose, 3 of the 4 players they have are like knocking. They're either in the NHL or they're knocking on the door, banging it down. New Jersey, it's Timo, and then who?
Right. Well, and everybody else that came with Timo Meier was to either make the salary or the roster limits workable.
Yeah. So you have to really like that.
So far, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not? So let's also get into I mean, geez. I definitely had a few things I wanted to talk about, but, and I know that there are definitely times where Jerk is just kind of like, oh, my God, shut up. It's fine. It's fine. The dope-ass shirt that I, was wearing last week, I just wanted to say, sold out as well as the matching hoodie. Again, further proving when you make good shit, it sells out. And you know what? Next Sunday, Jerk might have to actually be. Oh, wait, we're not going to be here next Sunday. Super Bowl, bitches. But look forward. Hit it up at hockey_jerk on the Tweety. I'm thinking Monday evening, maybe Tuesday morning. Perhaps Hockey Jerk may, in fact, tweet out a photo of the most bitchingest t-shirt ever. Just saying. Dude. There are not enough chefs to make that kiss as to how beautiful that shirt is. I'm just letting you know. Who's your hero this week? And how is it not Vlasic?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's the obvious choice, right?
How is it not?
I want to say, my hero for this week is going to be William Eklund.
Dude. Yes. Good choice. I appreciate that.
As has been pointed out, it was kind of his first go at being a center in the NHL.
Yes. And picked up an assist in that position.
Well, yeah, and overall on the week, he's got 3 assists in the 2 games this week. So a combination of looking halfway decent at center as well as kind of getting back on track in terms of the offense, which are things that we and myself specifically have asked for the last few weeks.
Big time.
I think it was a good week for him, both personally and also in the sense that he had been my zero a couple times and had worked his way out of it.
It's called the jerk bump, baby. Dude, I'm feeling it. Yeah, I swear to God, dude. It's just weird to look at Eklund, and I just remember when the Sharks drafted him, getting the link that said, okay, hey, media peeps, and those of us like this person right here who, for whatever reason, we are recognized as media, even though we just sit here and share our opinions. But I remember talking to William Eklund after he was taken in the draft. His English, not so great, but just watching that kid, I'm like, oh my God, look at him. I'm like he had a look about himself where he's like, I'm about to show a motherfucker. He was just like, my Johnson's going to be walking in the room 5 minutes before I get there. You watch this shit, dude. I'm going to fucking whack some ass. And I didn't see that with some other players. But Eklund, he does have a kind of a juice to his game, a bit of little swag. But it's that case of you can have swag, but you don't have arrogance. If that's it, it's hard to explain it. But it's like, you're good, but you don't have to wave it in everybody's face. And I feel Eklund is that kind of player, and that's what I appreciate about him. Now, on my zero side of it, dude, it's Zadina. And, I think I tweeted this out. Dude, you're getting the least time on ice. Even when guys are injured, at this point, I'm like, I get why Detroit fucking, threw you out with the bathwater. And the fact that you're still getting ice time over LeBanc, that I don't understand.
Well, let's not act like LeBanc would be an improvement.
I'm not looking for an improvement, but it's just kind of like, hey, can I have a different number to look at that's going to do the same thing?
Fair.
It's tough, bro. Dude, like, and you go back to the beginning of this season. I remember like being very much kind of like, hey, man, reclamation projects. I feel you, Mike Greer. Let's do this. And what did they get Zadina on? Like next to nothing. Like Zadina came to San Jose very much of the outlook like, oh, I'm going to show the haters and I'm going to fucking, stick in that top 6. I'm going to kick ass and then I'm going to get moved to a cup, final type of team. And then I'm going to sign my big deal and blah, blah, blah. And where are we at now? Like, dude, you are barely sticking into the bottom fucking 6. And let's be honest. When I say bottom 6, that's me being nice. You are barely staying on the top, or I shouldn't say top, the bottom line. Bottom 4. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. And it's really unfortunate because I think the both of us kind of had high optimism when he was brought in, just based on everything we'd seen up to that point, right? But it's really not been good. And I think maybe there's a degree to which you could have something else to say if he had been with better players in the lineup earlier on. But again, at a certain point, you've got to make your own luck, right?
So much so. Well, it is what it is. I'm going to play a video, but it's fine. So, we move on to the NHL shit. Dude, I got to be honest. How much of the All-Star game did you watch?
I watched a handful of the skills competition, which
good for you.
It's normally the one thing I look forward to when it comes to the All-Star weekend. And I even watched the Sportsnet feed to avoid the like cringe and awkwardness that is ESPN. And it kind of feels like a little bit of that is transferred over to Sportsnet, at least in regards to the All-Star game. And I think that's comes from it being an open secret. Like, hey, the players don't really want to be here. This is kind of a goofy experience. Let's try and hype it up and make it really awesome. And I think it says a lot when the most likely the guy who's going to win the MVP this year, Nikita Kucherov, is legitimately and openly like so not having a good time.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Dude, I got to be honest, dude. I really the stupid fucking draft that they did. What was that on Thursday? I want to say where they drafted the players or whatever. Like I was over here. For those who don't know, it's like I have this laptop that like runs my life, but then over here I have a secondary laptop that runs my work life. And that's what I do. On the draft is I had this computer showing me the draft and I was on a very important call at the time. And I just remember like kind of horse-eyeing it and I went, oh, this is the most boring. Like, look, dude, I love Will Arnett. I think he's very funny. Justin Bieber, to me, can go play in traffic. I'm sorry. I don't care. What was it? Tate something? I don't know what the girl's name is. She's evidently a popular person in Canada. Don't know her. Don't care. And then there was somebody else. Again, don't know. Don't care. Don't give a fuck. The last time that I gave a fuck about an all-star game in the NHL was the John Scott story. When was the last time you gave a fuck, jerk?
It would probably be 2022 only because I covered it as like a media person. And then obviously,
Whoa. You got passes?
and then prior to that, probably the 2019 one, just because it was in San Jose.
Oh,
But
yeah. Local.
uh,
What's up?
aside from that, though, and I was explaining this to a couple people, like it's really like every year that goes by, it's a lot harder to get into.
Well, dude, and Felix right now, and I love that. Felix, I love this about you, is Tate McRae, Cole Sillinger's ex. I don't know who either of those fucking people are. Nor do I give a flying fuck. Oh, Buble was the other guy. And you know what? From what I've seen when he's like been on SNL, he's the guy who like gets it. He can make fun of himself. He seems like he's really funny. And then he did evidently some sort of media hit where he like said like, "Oh, well, I'm on mushrooms or whatever, so ask me whatever you want." But dude, Tate McRae, I'm sorry, I don't know who the fuck she is, and I don't fucking care. I didn't understand the whole fucking celebrity thing.
The idea is to get non-hockey fans to watch it.
Well, good luck with that. Anyway, from watching the All-Star game, from what I understand, Hertl actually did score a goal at some point.
He did. Yeah, he did. He had a goal. He had a goal at near the very end of the last game.
So not how awesome he was like a few years ago when he should have been MVP.
Correct.
Okay. So he just had a little goal. Okay, cool for him. Anything else worth even fucking mentioning? Because I got to tell you, dude, I took the opportunity for this weekend to be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Or were you kind of like the same way?
Let's just get to the giveaway.
Yeah, okay then. Well, hold on. There were some other happenings in the NHL while we were out. So Elias Lindholm fucking said goodbye. Calgary to Vancouver. Kuzmenko goes to Calgary, and a bunch of other moves. Do you is this Vancouver? Is this them saying like, we're really upset we didn't win in 2011. We have to try again.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Vancouver, as we talked about earlier, Vancouver has been one of, if not the best teams in the NHL this year.
Is this like the GM in the front office saying, we're recognizing how much you have like kicked ass and we're going to get you like some big help? Or do you think that there could have been bigger help?
No, I think this is pretty big help. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago about your situation, right? Where a new situation can either improve or worsen things. And Lindholm, he's having a good season, but it's not what the type of seasons he normally has, right? And so hopefully with a new situation, he can play well, maybe help Vancouver win a Stanley Cup, and then turn that into his next NHL contract.
Did you just say that you hope Vancouver wins the Stanley Cup this year?
I mean, what I said was, if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, you're hoping that he wins helps you win the Stanley Cup.
All right, I feel you. And then, how do you feel about? I'm sorry. To me, I'm just gonna say it. T-Mac got scapegoated.
Yeah,
it was for whatever reason the Kings went through it, and funnily enough, I literally have a memory from 15 years ago, leaving the south entrance of SAP Center, might have been HP Pavilion at the time, but walking out, hanging out in that area, and then seeing Doug Wilson walk out to go to his car at the end of the game. And I remember shouting out to Doug Wilson, "Don't fire T-Mac. It's not his fault your players aren't doing what they need to." And he kind of went, "Oh, hey, thanks for letting us know." Blah, blah, blah. So do you think T-Mac was scapegoated?
100% he was. Yeah, like we said a couple minutes ago, there's not, T-Mac can't make Pierre-Luc Dubois play better. He can't make the goaltender make saves. He can't make the defense not allow shots on goal. At a certain point, there's responsibility on the player.
And how much is this kind of a kick in the balls? Like, how much are you just kind of like, it's just kind of fucked up. That's how many teams are in each division? 8, right?
Correct.
So, and then this season, you see both were, just obviously we're not to Valentine's Day yet, but to see both Jay Woodcroft, who used to be part of T-Mac's coaching staff,
twice,
and right, and then T-Mac, like they both get the fucking Spanish Archer, and let's be honest, both you and I think both of those Spanish Archers were terribly misdirected.
Yeah.
God.
But that's how it is in hockey, right?
Oh man.
The general manager makes questionable player personnel decisions, and the players fall short of their expectations, and the coach gets fired.
Yeah, figure that out.
That's just how pro sports work. And the good thing for Todd McClellan and Jay Woodcroft, as you mentioned, the good thing for those guys is, hey, they got fired. As long as they don't take another job, the check is going to still clear.
Oh, dude, it still cashes, yay?
As long as they don't take another job.
Fucking A. And then you also have the last one. This is one that I really wanted to ask you about because I was like, oh my God, Jerk is going to have some shit to say. Montreal and Winnipeg trade, dude. The Canadiens trade Monahan to the Jets for the Jets 24 first-round pick and a conditional 27 third. And I was just very much kind of like, wait a minute, aren't the Jets the team that you would think would be loading up?
Yeah, which they did. They acquired Monahan.
But it's just, is Monahan really the guy that you want in that situation? Do you think that Winnipeg maybe overpaid just a scotch?
I would say no, just because.
Really?
Well, for one, Monahan is having a good season. For two, he appears to have rebounded from the hip surgery and COVID issues that were weighing him down the last 2 or 3 years. And so from Winnipeg's perspective, you see, okay, this guy had COVID. This guy had, I believe, for sure, hip surgery. He may have had double hip surgery.
Jesus Christ. How the hell is he on the ice?
Well, and he's started to rebound and come around. And so, he's having a good year. You can look at him and you can say, hey, this guy is a really good player who was going through some hard times and he's starting to rebound. We like that. We feel comfortable taking that on. But also, again, a team like the Winnipeg Jets, who are where they are in the standings.
Let's be honest. Don't you think that the Jets are like far higher in the standings at this point than either you or I thought they would be at the beginning of the season?
No, I expected them to be a good team.
Really?
I did. 100%.
Okay.
But
I'm not taking away from the dumbest thing ever. Jerkman.
Yeah, just letting you know, your microphone sounds really robotic.
Yeah. Trying to figure that out. Don't know why. Stupidest thing ever. Hello.
We are live though. We're back, I believe.
Fantastic. How about now?
So much better you sound.
And now?
And now you sound perfect.
Okay. So feeling better now.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, I don't know what in the fucking world just happened, but I feel like that is some sort of, I don't know, infinite power, so that says it's time for you guys to like end your fucking show like soon. So we're gonna get into this. So we did the Monahan thing. That's fine. Okay. The thing I wanted to ask you about, dude. In addition to the 2025 Four Nations tournament, the NHL announced that they're going to return to 2026 and 2030 Olympics. So that means no ridiculously stupid-looking All-Star jerseys until 2027. What? Do you even give a fuck? Because honestly, I don't care. World Cup, Four Nations, I don't fucking care.
Well, I think best on best hockey, I think it's what the players want and it's what the fans want, and so I think I say run it, and I say
I'm fine with run it. I just don't care. So I just feel like, is this going to be a something small that, you know, people go, oh, it's cute. I'm still going to take this time off.
I don't know. I guess, I mean, if it's going to be best on best and high intensity, it might do better than the All-Star game.
That part, I could feel it. And for whatever reason, like when it's, you know, I don't even know what you even call it, but when it's the Olympic part, I'm kind of into it. And I'm like, yeah, let's get down and dirty. Let's see what, you know, shit rocking. When it's not, I'm kind of like, I don't really care. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm interested. I'm sure the players are interested. Let's get to the tweet of the week, which, holy fuck, does context mean a lot. And when I say that, it's because Gary Bettman was quoted as saying, I don't have any problems with what the Blackhawks did. And that quote was about Corey Perry's contract situation with Chicago. Again, I think that's a very funny quote when taken out of context. I don't have any problems with what the Blackhawks did. If you look at what the Blackhawks did. I think that's very funny. Oh, my gosh. All right, so the San Jose Barracuda, you know what? They won a game, they lost a game since January. Oof. The Cuda had the worst dry. You talk about dry January if you want to stop drinking. Whoo. The Barracuda, 3 wins in 13 games. That was tough. But Ian Reed and our girl Jewels, they broke it down for the Barracuda earlier this week. So please do us a favor. You're interested in the Barracuda? You want to know what's going on? Run it back on our YouTube channel. Go listen to what Ian and Jules had to talk about when it comes to the AHL affiliate for your San Jose Sharks. It is prize time, good sir. And I feel like I looked at the thing and I went, Jesus Christ, it's another person who has never won yet.
It's a person who's never won, and it's also a person who is probably one of the oldest, or I should say the earliest players.
Really?
Like when we first started doing the giveaway, whenever it was last season, they were one of like the first people to like get in on it.
Good Lord, dude. I don't understand how we're like through the beginning of February, dude, October, November, December, January, February, dude, 5 months into this. And we have yet to fucking double up on a winner. This is so... This was literally what I was hoping would happen. I'm praying for it. This is awesome. Let her go. What's up? Shakir, time on ice?
Yeah, so Shakir Mukhamadulin's time on ice for the 2 games, at home against Seattle, on the road against the Anaheim Ducks. The total time on ice for him was 44 minutes and 7 seconds. Our winner was, they had the highest guess among the field. and they were our winner. So that goes to show you that going with 1 second, Bob, is not always the right play. Our winner, again, first-time winner, long-time player, very long-time player, Cameron, who says, you know what, email.
Cameron!
I'm good on the email. I'll just send it through Twitter. So Cameron, Twitter winner, shout out.
Ooh, we don't have those very often.
They are the winner of the Shakir Mukamadulin prize, if you will. I'm going to send them a note right now to let them know that they've won, and I'll get their address. If they're listening live, hello, you won. You're going to get a DM from me on Twitter. That's our winner.
That is so fucking cool. And just so everybody know, all the listeners, all the prizes have been sent out. With the exception,
we are current.
Yeah, with the exception of the winner who literally just won. Everybody else, all your shit is in the mail. So if you haven't already received it, you will very soon. And that comment literally goes to my co-host.
Which comment?
The whole thing is the shit that I sent you will be there very soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Monday, tomorrow, motherfucker. So look for that badass shirt that you're going to get. And the funny thing is, just letting you know, there might be some people listening right now. Just letting you know, talk to a little person that we know. I guess we'll call, I don't know, the person that we both recognize that when you need something just in case. Picked up a you want to see it? Oh, where the fuck did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Nope, that ain't it. Where the fuck is it? I think Sherry took it. She thought it was too cool. The All-Star pin tonight.
Nice.
From what I understand, I talked to a friend of ours just in case, and there is evidently quite a sizable, shall we say, shipment coming your way.
Yes, I've been told the same.
So, yeah, looking forward to that. But I want to tell everybody who is so nice to join us every Sunday. And I got to say, there were a few people today as I was at the AHL All-Star silly event thing where there was, what was it, broom ball between the mascots, hardest shot, fastest skater, all that. It was so much fun at TechCU today with TechCU hosting the AHL All-Star weekend. Very much fun. There was some silliness involved. And I'm totally here for it, but fantastic weekend. Couldn't get enough of it. That being said, what is happening next week? Over the course of this weekend, from the time that we are doing this show, what is happening next Sunday? Absolutely fucking nothing. Aside from a mildly meaningful football game, right? So
Mildly, sure.
Mildly. So Jerk, I'm just saying, what do you plan to do with your week off next Sunday? Because we ain't here, baby.
Truthfully, the only difference between any other week and this coming week is not watching the Sharks play because they don't play.
Yeah. So just saying, we are going to be off. Now, that's not to say that there won't be some sort of show next Sunday following the Super Bowl. It could be Ian and Jules. Could be Ian and Jules talking a little bit more about prospects in the CUDA. It could be Kevin Lacey and Mark E. and Ian going fucking, full deep dive into those players. It could be Eric and Eric just spending 20 minutes discussing why Eric is spelled better with a K at the end instead of a C. We don't know. The only thing that
worth mentioning, it could also be nothing.
Yes. The only thing that we absolutely do know with absolute certainty is that on Super Bowl Sunday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, you will not be seeing myself or Hockey Jerk. That's all we can say with absolute certainty. It doesn't mean we're not going to miss you. It just means we'll see you the following week. Am I right?
That's right.
Hey, now. So, should we have is there a prize that we can give out that's going to have a 2-week lead time? I don't even know.
Well, because the thing is, the Sharks' next games, we've got the 14th against Winnipeg, the 15th against Calgary, the 17th against Columbus.
I got you, boo. I got you. We're going to go full football time.
Okay.
Here, in fact, is the play. Super Bowl Sunday, February 11th. Yes. Last time I looked. All right. So you need to send it in hockeyjerk10@gmail.com. And as long as you send in your choice before the football is kicked, which is usually about 3:20-ish on Super Bowl Sunday, the prize pack is going to go to whoever picks the combined closest to the combined Super Bowl score without going over. Closest without going over. Get it in before the kick is made. You will be the winner.
And in case you are somebody who doesn't really know where to go with this, 4 years ago when the Niners and the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl, that combined score was 51 points. 3 years ago, it was 40. 2 years ago, it was 43. Last year, it was 73. So
Jesus.
It's really kind of anybody's guess where it could be. So
it's all over the place, baby. All right, so with no games this week, coming up, Jerk and I feel it's not just me, right? Like this feels like a well-earned week off.
I would agree with that.
Okay, then. So we're going to take a well-earned Sunday off. If some of the other, like I said, if a couple of the other Teal Town peeps want to jump in and they're going to be like, hey, you know what? We love that Sunday at 7 p.m. time slot. Abso-fucking-lutely. You want to jump in? Take our shit. I don't care. It'll be beautiful. So, other Teal Town peeps, you want to jump in? That's fine. Whatever. Either way, next Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. That means Jerk and I are off. Now, I will say this. If the 49ers win, perhaps Jerk and I will jump into the Discord. I'm not saying it's an absolute. I'm saying it's a possibility. It could happen. But Jerk and I tapping out for the next week. We will be back on February 18th. I feel like you feel, pretty good about that. Jerkman? Always nice to have a weekend off, yes?
Yeah, especially considering potential Super Bowl parties. It's always nice.
Hell yeah.
It's always nice that the bye week lines up with that.
Oh, love it when that happens. So no worries. In between then, maybe we'll get a little squawk with Tara Sloan. Maybe we'll get a squawk with somebody else. Maybe we'll talk to a sports apparel CEO. You don't know what is going to happen up in these places. We don't know. We just go and we do what we do. So on Twitter, you can follow this guy. He's going to be there at hockey_jerk. You can follow me. You probably don't want to, but if you do, I'm there at AJ_strong. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Leave your takes in the comments section of the video if you were not able to join us live. You can help keep us commercial free. Keep using that super chat option. Better yet, use Venmo. We're on there at Tealtown USA. And if you're listening on the Apple Podcasts, hey, 5 stars, big ass review. We love that. You can find links to social media, podcast apps, and more. It's all included in the show notes. You can find everything on tealtownusa.com. Remember to check out After Dark following every single Sharks game. But you know what? Between now and Honey Day, as they say, Valentine's Day. What do you have in mind, sir? What are you going to do with your relatively new wife?
We are going out to dinner a couple days after Valentine's Day to avoid the crowds.
Wait a minute. Whoa. You're going to go out like before or after Valentine's Day? You're not going to go out on Valentine's Day?
No, because
it's a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah.
Dude, I think this is one of the reasons why you and I get along so well. Because we are right in the same, just right there, dude. That is one of the things that I think made me love my wife, is the fact that it didn't come down to like, my birthday is this Tuesday, or our anniversary is this Wednesday, or what. No, it came down to, we don't need to celebrate the actual event on the actual date. We just need to acknowledge it, because why get ripped off, by the conglomerate, the Hallmark holidays, if you will, right?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like, not like you said. It's not about the win. It's about the what, right?
Exactly.
And I'm the same way. My wife and I, our birthdays our birthdays are close together, and I told her, I was like, for my birthday, I'm like, let's do it on this day because it's a Friday. I'm like, I'm not gonna lose my mind if we do something for my birthday 2 days late, because the fact still stands that we're doing something for my birthday.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. And that's what I love about my wife, is that it's not about the idea of like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, we have to do it on this day, or it's my birthday, we have to. No. That's the thing I love. Sherry. That's the thing that I love about my wife, is that it's not about recognizing whatever event it is on the date. It's that, no, we're going to recognize it, but it doesn't have to be on that date. And I'm like, love that about you. Love that. Because, I mean, dude, I think they actually did I think there was a story about that, where it was some, like, really nice restaurant on February 12th and 13th. A very nice dinner for a couple was like $110. But a dinner all of a sudden 1 day later on February 14th was like $280.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of go, is it worth it? I mean, is that worth it for you?
No, I don't think you should. I don't think you should feel compelled to have to do something on a certain day as long as the
Well,
intention is there.
well, it's exactly, and it's like, do you really think that you should have to pay more money at a place to have the exact same experience just because the date on the calendar is slightly different from the day before?
I personally don't, but I know there's a lot of people who really kind of live for that moment, and more power to them.
Really? Because I honestly, for a second, I thought you were going to be all fuck them kids. It's all good. So, again, everybody, we thank you so much for joining us. And obviously, we had a little interruption there, a little interruptus for whatever reason. We're gone next Sunday because it's Super Bowl Sunday, but we will be right back with you next Sunday after that, 2 weeks from tonight, back here for some reason. I don't even know at this point, but we're going to be back here doing this shit for you again. Thank you so much for joining us on your Sunday night. See you in 2 weeks.